De verdade eu fiquei assim surpreso, né? Porque fosse os caras que provoca ele, sei lá, o cara perde, né? E o cara vai lá e fala alguma coisa. Aí beleza, mas pô, eu nunca falei mal do Jon Jones, entendeu? Eu sempre respeitei. Muitas pessoas me perguntam, ah, pô, Alex, você se considera o melhor? Manda ele mostrar alguma coisa, eu falando, alguma entrevista, eu falando que se eu ganhar eu sou o melhor. Eu falei, cara, isso aí só dá discussões. Pô, eu não sei, se me considerarem, ok, se não considerarem, ok, do mesmo jeito, tô ganhando meu dinheiro, tô, pô, fazendo história e, pô, mas se não vou decidir isso, entendeu? De verdade, agora, de verdade. Eu só não entendo por que ele fez isso, entendeu? Numa hora assim difícil, entendeu? Pro atleta, ninguém quer perder, tá ligado? Uma hora difícil, o cara, tipo, fazer uma provocação por um cara que nunca fez uma provocação com ele, entendeu?
Hey guys, welcome back to Duality 7X. I'm your host Shiraz. I want to get right into it. I want to talk about Alex Pereira and the Ciryl Gane fight at the UFC Freedom 250 White House card. Alex may have lost his shot at making UFC history for becoming a three-time champion in three separate divisions. Now, that's not even the bigger story right now. There's another bigger story that we're following that's related to this, and it's about another former great legendary Jon Jones and his reaction that actually not only stunned all of us, but stunned Alex Pereira. Because in fact, Poatan he genuinely had no idea about what had actually happened because from Pereira's perspective, he's always respected Jon Jones. He never talked trash about him. He had a lot of admiration for Jon, and he said that he even supported him in some of the toughest moments in Jon's career. He was there for those those moments when a fighter is down. And then what happened was it was completely opposite when Alex is suffering perhaps maybe one of the biggest losses in his career. Jon apparently is celebrating the result, and it raises a much bigger question: was this harmless trolling, or has there been a rivalry potentially brewing behind the scenes that fans may have never even noticed? Now, Pereira walked in to UFC Freedom 250 with a chance to become a three-division champion. And you know what? This would have been the first in UFC's history. As you guys are aware, Alex Pereira had relinquished his light heavyweight title so that he can flirt with the idea of moving into the heavyweight division and potentially conquering there. He made, this guy's such an incredible striker. He's such an incredible fighter. There was a lot of high hopes for him. In fact, when he relinquished his light heavyweight title, there was a lot of discussions about the possibility of him fighting Jon Jones in the UFC Freedom 250 card, because there was a lot of optimism from Jon Jones and his camp that he was going to be on the card. And so it just kind of made perfect sense. But that's not how the dice rolled, unfortunately, for Jon. He wasn't on the card at all. And here we go. We had Alex Pereira, Ciryl Gane, and the rest is history, guys. Now, Ciryl Gane came in there with a lot of momentum. As you're aware, you know, there was that controversy with the double eye poke in his last match against Tom Aspinall. But Ciryl Gane came in there and he did what he said he was going to do. He was all business. He beat Alex Pereira in a brutal fashion. And I mean, honestly, less than halfway into the second round, he dropped him with a sharp jab and he finished the fight. I mean, it was a massive moment for Ciryl Gane, and it honestly put Ciryl Gane right back into the heavyweight title picture. You know, Cyryl's incredible. I don't think he gets the kind of credit that he should deserve. And maybe I don't know, because he's a fighter that likes to fight overseas a lot of the time, and you know, from a different country. I don't know if he's not really getting the attention that he should. But Ciryl is a competitor. He's a tough SOB, and he did a lot of damage that night. Now look, Jon Jones, he posted a reaction right after the fight. He posted a reaction video, and he later congratulated Ciryl Gane while signing off with the goat emoji. And he didn't directly attack Alex, but the timing and the presentation in itself was enough to get everybody, including Alex, talking. And judging by Alex's own comments, it looked like Alex was blindsided to all this. And here's kind of what stands out to me, because Pereira isn't claiming that Jon Jones owes him any kind of friendship or any kind of favors because he was there for his difficult moments. He was simply saying that I never disrespected this guy. So why celebrate one of the worst moments of my career when I wasn't doing that for him when he was down? That's a very reasonable question. And for me, where things get really interesting is that, look, when we're talking about combat sports, you know, it's not just about punches and kicks and flying elbows and spinning back kicks. I mean, there's perception involved, right? There's legacy, and these are the things that fighters want, because these are the things that are going to be ingrained in people's memory and in the history books. And if you want to be remembered as the greatest, these are those moments, these are those opportunities that really define who you are as a fighter. Alex went in there with high hopes, and he came out kicking. I'm not going to say swinging, because he had some really good leg kicks right in the beginning, but Ciryl Gane kind of thwarted that, and he had different plans for himself. Now, going back to Jon Jones, whether he intended this kind of reaction or not, I mean, nobody knows. But I mean, you know, now people are starting to talk about Jon Jones, Alex Pereira all over again. I don't know if it's because Jon Jones might be a little salty that he wasn't on the card and he didn't get the nod to fight Alex Pereira. I don't know. But suddenly fans are now debating accomplishments. They're debating greatness and who deserves more respect, you know, in the octagon. And in that sense, you know, Jon accomplished something without even stepping into the cage. And I mean, at the same time, you got to look at Pereira's responses. I mean, look, Pereira's response was surprisingly measured. It was calculated. He didn't lash out. He didn't insult Jon Jones. He basically said, show me where I've claimed to be the best, or show me where I actually disrespected you. He emphasized that he's focused on making money and making history. And Alex, from Alex's perspective, he wants the fans to be able to decide where he belongs in the grand scheme of things when it comes to legacy. Now, that tells me that wasn't manufactured drama. It sounded quite genuine for me. There was no confusion or ambiguity from my understanding. But here's a part that I don't think anyone's really talking about. Sometimes they say silence is golden, right? Silence says more than words, and sometimes a simple social media post can create a bigger headline than an interview, because Jon Jones has always understood attention and the narrative. He likes the limelight, he likes the spotlight, and that's kind of where he thrives. Now, whether you love Jon Jones or whether you hate him is irrelevant, because typically people react to anything and everything that Jon Jones does. Let's not, you know, let's not sugarcoat this, guys. By posting right after Alex Pereira's loss, he inserted himself right into the conversation and shifted part of the spotlight back onto himself. And here we are on the other side of the coin. Pereira is dealing with a much bigger issue. And you know, look, he believes several illegal shots landed to the back of his head during the finish. He's publicly criticized Herb Dean's handling of the stoppage. He even asked for an immediate rematch with Ciryl Gane because he believes that the circumstances were such that he deserves another look. And because of his dream of becoming a 3-division champion isn't quite dead in his mind yet. So from a competitive standpoint, you got to give respect where respect is earned. I understand. Look, Alex Pereira wants it. He wants that opportunity to be enormous, and losing in the fashion that he did, it's quite difficult to accept. Now, I also think there's another reality that the UFC needs to check and needs to consider. Ciryl Gane just produced a statement win, and he appears to be positioned for another massive heavyweight opportunity. Now, if the promotion believes a fight with Tom Aspinall is the bigger move, then Pereira may have to wait longer than he'd like before getting another crack at history. Because as it stands, the question comes down to is Alex Pereira the bigger draw right now for Ciryl Gane? Ciryl Gane did it, and he did it within 2 rounds. And he won. He won by TKO, won by knockout. So I don't know. Do you give Alex Pereira that opportunity, or now does Ciryl Gane get another opportunity with somebody else, most likely Tom Aspinall, who is currently the heavyweight champion? So it would be interesting to see how that kind of plays out, right? I mean, look, I mean, I don't. The other question is, does this loss permanently change how people view Poatan, Alex Pereira, or does it simply become another chapter in perhaps one of the most remarkable careers we've seen in combat sports? Okay, the Alex Pereira is such a classy guy. He doesn't like to trash talk. He's quite genuine. He speaks from the hip. He shoots from the hip. He doesn't like to sugarcoat or or mix statements with ambiguity. He likes to call it black and white, and he does it in a respectful manner. You have to give it to him, right? I mean, there's been a lot of trash talk from like guys like Josh Hockett, who seems to be in a lot of trouble right now with the statements about Michelle Obama. But you know, I don't know if should that be the fight? Alex Pereira versus Josh Hockett, and then Ciryl Gane versus Tom Aspinall, and the winner out of those two fight. I don't know. But then where do you match Carlos Ulberg, and where do you match some of these other great heavyweights that are you can't just focus your attention on two, three guys. It just doesn't work that way. So I think personally, look, like every great fighter, eventually is going to lose. Okay, it is what it is. What defines them is how they respond, right, to a loss. So Pereira has repeatedly shown that setbacks don't keep him down for too long, and I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back stronger. You have to understand. Here's a guy who relinquished his light heavyweight title to move up to heavyweight. He had to eat a lot. He had to do a lot more heavier training and adjust some things in his training regimen to be able to be able to be a power, to be a force in that division. So it's a minor setback, I think, for Alex Pereira. I think he's going to come back stronger. I think he's going to just readjust, re-strategize and figure out some things that perhaps maybe he was missing. He's a brand new heavyweight, and if he wants to stay in this division, then he just needs to have a little bit more patience, I think, right? Now, as for Jon Jones, I think his reaction was quite unnecessary. I mean, if there was some hidden context between him and Pereira, then I haven't seen it. I don't think a lot of fans have seen it. So from everything that Pereira has publicly said about him, the respect, to me seems it's kind of like one-sided. And it makes Jon's post feel kind of like oddly timed and awkward, to be honest. And who knows, maybe it was playful, maybe I'm reading this wrong, maybe it was strategic. I don't know. It's easy, it's it's easy to understand why Pereira was left scratching his head, because I'm also kind of scratching my head. I think you guys are also kind of confused as well. My prediction is that the story isn't over. The rematch talks, the debate over the stoppage, Herb Dean, the shots to the back of the head, the unexpected tension with Jon Jones are all going to keep Pereira in the headlines despite that defeat. So I can't wait to see what happens. I expect more news to follow in the coming days, perhaps maybe even coming weeks. But there's a lot of drama stirring up in the heavyweight division at the UFC, and it's just exciting times for us, guys. Look, I hope you enjoyed this analysis. Please smash the like and subscribe for more combat sports and UFC coverage, breakdowns. Look, we try to get to these stories, when the fight does. I wish I could, crank this out a little bit earlier. I had some other videos that I really wanted to talk about. But at the end of the day, guys, Ciryl Gane earned a huge victory, and I think he deserves that. Alex Pereira's historic bid came up short, unfortunately, and somehow Jon Jones inserted himself into one of the biggest talking points without even throwing a single punch. That's how powerful a narrative can be in the sport. Now, I want to hear your thoughts. Did Jon Jones do anything wrong with this reaction, or are fans, including myself, reading too much into it? I don't know, guys, but let me know in the comments, because I have a feeling this debate is only getting started. As usual, the pleasure was all mine. I look forward to catching you guys in the next one.